Hello, everyone, and welcome to Level Up with CMJ. Hey, my name is Jonas. This is my Craftsmaster dice shooting journey. Let's make it yours too. So we're doing our morning dice session here, guys. I have to admit something that I gave you guys homework for the last few days because we didn't do any live streams. And guess who did not do his homework? That would be me. So anyhow, let's get started, guys. We're going to start off. I'm going to assume that you guys have done your warm-ups. And let's go through and let's start review of the white and yellow belt. So we're going to do our dice scripts. We're just going to get into our dice script 5 to 10 times. Remember that the orange belt is 10 sessions long, and that's at a minimal. So you want to make sure that you get at least 10 sessions in at orange belt. So, good morning, Mike. So anyhow, we're just going through our dice sets. Dice grips. You want to use whichever dice grip is comfortable for you, whether it be the three-finger front diagonal like I do, or the Yuri grip, whether it be the three-finger par grip, which is like that, two-finger, whatever you want to do. You could do a two-finger diagonal also if you want. So, I mean, whichever dice set or dice grip is comfortable for you is what you want to use. And I also did 2 videos a while back on all the major types of dice grips that are out there. So make sure you check those videos out and see which ones work best for you. So go a couple more here, guys, and then we will move on to the next part. So 2 days ago, we had a disappointment on Sunday night. The Packers lost. They did not make it to the playoffs. So a little upsetting. Because of their loss, Seattle Seahawks made it in. So hopefully they do some good. They're going up against the San Francisco 49ers this next weekend. So, okay. Good morning, Blake. So anyway, we got our dice sets in, our dice grips in. Let's do our drop tests. We're going to do 3 to 5 of them. Again, we're just going to get in our dice grip, start with our starting position. We're going to come up, and without stopping, we're going to actually release with that thumb at the top position. So again, we're going to get in our dice grip and release with that thumb. Almost as if you're throwing it, but we're not projecting it down the table. All we're doing is we're trying to train ourselves to release with the thumb. And then once you get that thumb down, you can also release that with the index finger as well. The reason we're trying to release with that thumb is if you don't release with the thumb, what'll happen is it'll split the dice apart. It'll push the dice apart, and that way they'll be off axis as they go down the table. Okay, so that's about 3 to 5 drop tests there. Let's collect our dice. And guys, if you have dice, get them out. Practice along with me. Make sure you do this practice daily, and try to work on your skill sets. Try to pick little things out that need to be changed or need to be improved, or something that you can work on when you're doing this. Okay, so we're going to go through setting the dice. We got 9 sets of dice here. We're going to go with the 1, 2, 2, 3 dice set. So we got 1, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 2, 3, and we're just going to go through them as fast as we can. And again, the reason we're doing this is so that way you can get used to setting the dice and you can do it in a timely manner. There we go. And like I said, I have to admit, I did not do the practice this weekend like I said I was going to. I actually went out of town. I went down to Dubuque, Iowa, and I did go to the casino. I did not play it, although I did watch at the table for a while. Bunch of random shooters. There was one guy that was doing okay or decent. Nothing great though. I think the average roll I don't know what happened to my last. Here it is. My last die. I think the average roll was somewhere between the 5 to 7 range. I think I saw one guy get up in the low teens, but the majority of the rolls were pretty short. We're in our now. So next dice set's gonna be your 5, 4, 2, 3 set. That's your all sevens. Now some people use this trying to hit that 7. If you're not playing any of the specialty bets that might come out set, some people use it because they don't throw sevens with it, even though it is an all 7 set. So it's something to consider, something to keep in mind when you're throwing the dice at the table. Again, I have videos out that go through all the major dice sets, the major common dice sets. So make sure you check those out. These dice sets that we're doing today are our beginning dice sets. When we get further into the belt levels, we'll be going through some of the more advanced dice sets. So we're going through the 5, 4, 2, 3 dice set right now. So, okay, so we got those all done. And that is Arnold's favorite dice set. I've seen him throw it in person, and he does very well with it. He was shooting when I saw him from stick right 1, and he was throwing it to the opposite end of the table. I believe he was throwing it into the far hook, and he was having some really good throws. Good morning, Victor. So anyhow, we got our dice sets. Hey, let's go over to George's corner and see what George has to talk about today. So the last time we were talking through George's stuff, we were talking about stances, and he was talking about the tripod stance. But now he's going to go on and he's going to say, let's now describe a backswing toss. And what he says is that the dice start from a stationary position at eye level. You turn your body to face the back wall. You lift the dice slightly off the table and you move your arm away from the landing zone about 2 inches per count for a 1 count rhythm toss. You start from that position, moving your arm forward towards the landing zone with your eyes fixed on the landing zone. Ideally, your arm should travel parallel to the side walls or the pass line markings on the felt throughout the whole toss. There's a point which is critical in this movement. And as your arm comes down to the resting position before it starts to lift off towards the release, your muscles controlling the toss change their roles. And it is at this point that most shooters suffer a jerking in their toss, which costs them a lot inconsistency. So try to make this handover from one muscle group to the other as smooth as possible. So let's leave it at that for now. We'll continue on with what he describes as his backswing toss. Now, good morning, CCC, and Brian. Good morning, Brian. So George talks about going through his toss, and he uses a 2 count for a backswing. 1, 2, and then he releases the dice, or he goes forward. So this is what George from CY does. It's something similar to this. 1, 2, and then toss. I have been kind of teaching to try to minimize that backswing. So you need to find what works best for you. So I'm kind of teaching to try to minimize it and just go straight forward with your toss. You need to find out what works best for you guys, and you need to practice that. Again, the biggest thing with our dice tossing is to make the variable things at the table, which is pretty much everything, make it into a constant. So I was trying to show that, Darnell, yes. Arnell, yes. I was trying to show it. But, try to make things constant. So if you want to do the backswing like George does, make sure you do the counts, 1, 2, and then toss. If you just do the forward swing, which is fine also, make sure that you practice that and get that constant down. So work with whatever you got and whatever you guys want to, whatever feels comfortable for you guys. So let's move on. We got our barrel tosses. Again, get the barrel dice out, and we're just going to go 5 tosses. Again, we're just looking to make sure that the dice are going down square. We're not so much worried about the landing zone at this time. We're just trying to keep it square, trying to keep it so they're flying straight through the air. And if they can come down flat, that would be the ultimate goal. Again, when we're doing this now, we're checking to see where we're starting at on the table. So we're in our grip. Since I use the Yuri grip, I have a slight twist to my dice. So that way when I release, they're square at the top position. If you're doing the 3-finger par grip, or front grip, you can go square on the line here and release it that way also. So again, do what's comfortable for you guys. This is the time to experiment a little bit. Try different things. See what works. See what does not work. And this is the time to get things so they become constant. So you can take those variables out of the equation, make them constant, get the practice in, so that way when you actually get to the casino, you're going to have less problems and less things to worry about when you're at the table. So again, we got about 5 or so of those barrel tosses. Once you get through the barrel tosses, we'll move on to the regular dice. Good morning, Navaldo. So we're just going to grab the regular dice. We're going to go with the hard way set, 5-4-5-4 dice set. And get into your grip. And all we're going to do is toss these down, make sure that they're square, they're tight together. And we're going to throw them, and that was a terrible, terrible throw. My arm went off to the side. Luckily, they both stayed on the table. That one almost went off the table on the right-hand side there. And that's what I get for talking and not concentrating. So let's set the dice again. 5-4-5-4 hardware set. And good. So we're, again, landing zone, not as worried about it yet. Again, we're going to get into the landing zone in the next belt level. Right now, we're just trying to make sure that the dice are going down straight down a table. So in other words, we are finding a spot at the end of the table, and that's what we're aiming towards. So we're trying to line the dice up so they hit that area on the table, and so that they're flying square through the air. And that one was just a little bit to the right of my spot. I'm aiming for a spot straight down right about here. I'm kind of aiming for that 1 or 2 bumps up or lower. Okay, we'll do one more here. And then we're going to bring in the height tool. Okay, good. And that was a good throw. That was a hard 8, square pair. So, as Brian says, any pair, I don't care. So we're going to bring in our height tool. And again, our height, the string is set up. I know the camera makes it look a little bit deceiving, but the string is set up so that it's 56 inches from the ground. And this is on a 12-foot table. My throwing distance from the back wall is about 107 inches. And that's about stick left 1 position. Renault's asking if I'm bending my elbow. I keep a slight bend in my elbow, but if you look at my arms, and this is something that's a genetic thing for me, this right here is straight for me. I don't know if you can see that. Let me go down here once. So my arms are straight right here. If you guys can see that, and it's been a thing throughout my life. Even though my arm is straight, it's actually locked in. It looks like it's bent, but I keep a slight bend in my arm when I'm throwing. And when I do that, it's all in the, I do more of the shoulder throwing. So that way I know that my hands are gonna be in the same position when it's in the top position at all times. So anyhow, we're going to the barrel dice here, guys. We're gonna go through with the height tool, and we're gonna do, according to program, it's 20 to 50 times over the string, and we will try to get as close as we can to that string and get those dice so that they're going square down the table. Again, right now at this point, and we're going to change that in a little bit here, guys. At this point, right now, we're just worried about getting over that string. I'm not worried as much about the landing zone. Just trying to get it to go over that string. And we're trying to train ourselves for that proper height. Okay, and if you notice, it's landing about 5 to 6 inches away from the back wall. It's touching that back wall and it's landing right up against the wall almost. So that's a pretty good energy amount in the dice. So in other words, what that's doing is that height there is minimizing the energy that's stored in that dice. That one was hit the back wall and it bounced off. But it's minimizing that dice, the energy in the dice, so that way it's gonna hopefully die right as close as we can by the back wall there, and hopefully avoid some of the landmines that are at the end of the table. So we're gonna go through a couple more here, guys. Again, I'm gonna continue my practice after, now I'm landed about an inch away from the end here. That's awesome. I'm going to continue my practice after the live stream is done. You have 20 to 50 of the barrel dice. This will be our last one of the barrel dice here. Now it's a little high, but it actually did end up where we wanted it. Okay, and then we're going to move on to the regular dice. And in practice, you want to do the 5-4-5-4 heart rate set again. And you want to go through 20 to 50 of these also. So we're just going to do a few of them here on camera. And then again, after I'm done with the live stream, I'm going to finish out my 20 to 50 throws. And what we're concentrating on here now is, again, trying to keep the dice so they're going down square. They're staying as close as, or as tight as possible as they're flying through the air. They're just clearing that string. And they were hopefully landing flat on the table when they get to the opposite end. We're very true, or very correct on that, Victor. The barrel dice, and it's kind of funny because when I do the barrel dice, I'm having a hard time with the string, keeping it so it flies square. It's having a little bit of wobble. When I take that string away, I don't have the wobble in the barrel dice. When I'm doing the regular dice, though, I seem to be doing a much better job. So the barrel dice are very good to help you with your training. And right now, guys, if you notice, I'm using two of the same color dice. Right now, it really doesn't matter. Later on in the training, when we get into the future or further belt levels, we're going to be using two different color dice. Um, most people put their red dice on the right side and they'll use another color for the left side. I'm kind of dyslexic, so I put the red dice on the left side. That's just what I do. And the reason they do that is so that way you can record the results of your dice and you know what the left die is doing, what the right die is doing, and you can record that. And we'll get into that later belt levels when we get into the bone tracker and we actually start tracking our throws. So my last one here, and then we're going to move on to the next section of the orange belt level. So again, you're going to have 20 to 50 of these. I'm going to finish these up off camera after I'm done with the live stream. But the next part we're going to do now, let's see if I can get this working because I broke this, is we're going to have a level laser, guys. And we're going to set it up, and I'm going to put it off camera a little bit, but I don't know if you guys can see that on the back wall there. Hopefully you can see that line on the back wall. So I'm aiming towards this spot right here on the table. And that level laser now is going to help me so I can hopefully line the dice up and I know if they're landing in the area that I'm aiming for. Again, landing zone, other than being straight, I'm not worried at this belt level where I am on the table for landing zone. This height tool will get me approximately where it needs to be. But right now what I'm doing is I'm trying to get it down so it lands up against the wall exactly where that laser level is shining. So go back to the barrel dice and we're going to use the height tool. And now we are concentrating on getting it straight down the table. And that was pretty darn close. Again, this is assuming that you're throwing straight down a table. Now, there are some people that actually go off to different areas. Arnell says he's the only one who thought of using a laser level. I actually got the idea, I think it was from Mudslide Mac. Mudslide had used it in one of his videos, and that's where I actually picked up the idea from. It works really nice. It really does. It gives you a place to aim for. It checks to make sure that you are throwing accurately. And I'm getting pretty darn close there, guys, with the barrel dice. So this portion of the training, and like I said, with the orange belt, we're going to be doing this first a couple sessions, and then you move on to the next part of the training. So this is where we're at with the orange belt right now. There's going to be 2 more parts of the orange belt level, which we'll cover this week. And that'll bring you to the completion of it. Again, about a week or 2 ago, guys, I put the orange belt video out, and that was for the orange belt in its entirety. The level up sessions, the level up with CMJ sessions, the live sessions that we're doing in the morning are actually breaking it down in stages, and this is where we do the daily practice in that. So, yeah, so Victor has an old laser level somewhere that he used on his craps rig. I'm gonna need to buy a new one, I think, pretty soon. Because the one I have was a pretty cheap one. I think I paid, I don't know, it was like 10 or 15 bucks for it. And I dropped the darn thing about a month or 2 ago. So if you look at it, the bottom of it, it's all cracked and it's all falling apart. So the laser light that's on the inside, I kind of have stuck in with a piece of tape so it doesn't move. Luckily, light goes straight and it's shining straight. So anyhow, we got about 20 to 50 of these guys, and then you would be complete with your training. Now, when you're doing your throws, that's neat. Lined it up right on that one. When you're doing your throws, guys, keep on going till you are comfortable with it. If you feel that you need to do more than that in order to get comfortable with it on that session, that's fine. But if you find that you're picking up bad habits by practicing too much, then you need to tone it back a little bit and start analyzing what you're doing and what you can do to change your throw so that way you get rid of these bad habits. So anyhow, let's go to our homework corner and we'll talk about what we need to do going forward. So for homework today, again, we're going to start with our warm-ups. You go with your 10 dice grips. So you can practice getting your dice grip 10 times. You're going to do 3 to 5 minimal drop tests. And that's starting at the bottom, bringing your hand all the way up and then dropping it by releasing that thumb right before you would toss it down the table. You're going to practice your dice sets, your 1, 2, 2, 3, and then also your 5, 4, 2, 3 dice set. After that, you're going to go through about 5 barrel tosses or until you feel comfortable with your toss, and that's without the height tool. Again, we're going to go with the regular dice then with a hard way set, and we're going to try to throw it down at least 5 or more times, trying to make sure that the dice are staying tight together. If you do the hard way set, try to end up with no 6 or 1 showing when they come to rest on the table. Once you're done with that, we're going to bring the height tool out, and then you have 20 to 50 barrel tosses, 20 to 50 tosses with the hard way set and regular dice, and then we're going to bring the barrel dice, and we're going to use the laser level. So let me go through the comments here, guys, really quick and see. Victor talks about cool things with the lines. Thank you, CCC, for saying hit the like button. Also, guys, you know, I'm using all the money here. If you give a super thanks, super sticker, super chat, all that money goes back into the channel for projects coming up as well as for equipment upgrades. So anyhow, hey guys, have a good day, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Hey, my name is Joe, and this is my Craftsmaster Dice Shooting Journey. Let's make it yours too.